Do you think food, cost of living, everything has increased throughout the 5 years? คิดว่าแพงขึ้น The reason why Thailand adapted quicker than Singapore. First order of business is to get rid of all the electricity cables. Debate side, coming back to you.
I see a lot of Thai people these days teach their parents on how to use technology.
Like everything was handled in cash, so it's nice to see that everyone's using the QR codes now.
What is up, guys? Went back again with another video. If you guys follow my old channel, you know who exactly this guy is. อาจารย์สลายครับ I'm back ครับ Before my channel was Thai, so the old subscribers remember who you are.
Today we are back, but this time we're with economics guy.
Hello everyone, Yu Hing from Singapore. Went to high school with these guys over here. Now we're back in Bangkok.
He's a very knowledgeable guy. He's currently studying at NTU Nanyang Technological University. I'm going to be asking him what changes has he seen in the last 5 years while he was gone. We're going to ask him about the economics of things because he did get a star IGCSE economics, A-level economics, and not only that, he's studying economics in uni some more, right?
Yeah, that's right.
When we're in high school, we always come to Mkotia, right?
Yeah, it's good to be back.
How long are you going to be in Thailand for?
Just a few days more. I'll be leaving on Saturday.
Let's just throw that question out. What specific changes have you seen in the past 5 years while you were gone?
First off, when I just came back, I noticed that everyone was using prompt pay right now. Like back in the day, 5 years ago, like everything was handled in cash. So it's nice to see that everyone's using the QR codes now. We're not using as much cash. And everything's so convenient now. You don't have to like go to the ATM, withdraw any money. If you take a look at all these QR codes over here, like any store you go to, even the roadside stores, they all accept QR code. You don't even have to bring your wallet out. You just have to bring your phone.
So back then when you were living here, people still use cash, right? If you go to any restaurant, especially if you're going to like a street vendor area, hawker center, what you guys call it in Singapore, we only use cash, right? I think the use of QR codes happened maybe 3 years ago. You once said that you never thought that Thailand would make that switch quickly. Why do you think that is?
It seems like Thai people are very willing to like adopt all this new technology, which is a very nice thing because like even in fact you might think that Singapore is a like first world country. We might use a lot more technology than Thailand, but in fact if you go to like some hawker centers, they still only accept cash. But here in Thailand, like any random street vendor, they will accept prompt pay right now, which is very nice. And I think that might be linked to like something cultural about Thais. They're willing to like accept new changes quickly. This question might be better answered by Bitemi, who's a local. Singapore, we have our own version called PayLah, but everyone knows how convenient it is. Still, there are some people who prefer cash, especially the older generation. But it seems like here in Thailand, even the old street vendor, they accept prompt pay right now. Maybe could you elaborate more on that? Why is it that even the old people are willing to adopt such technology in Thailand?
I don't know if it's like a cultural difference or what, but like I see a lot of Thai people these days, like the new generation, they will like teach their parents on how to use technology, especially like old people are forced to use a newer technology, which is the touchscreen. Once they like get used to this kind of phone, it's easier for them to just like install bank app and just like ask their son or daughter to like register the thing for them, and it's not gonna be that hard anymore compared to like before.
Do you not see the same thing happening in Singapore where, you know, the younger generation teaches the older generation in Singapore? And do you think that's like the reason why Thailand adapted quicker than Singapore?
Now that you mentioned this, I think there are two main reasons which I'll briefly elaborate. First, stronger family ties amongst Thai families. I think Thai people are very supportive of their parents, grandparents. They will try to like help out their families, right? The second reason is that actually in Singapore in the last like 50 years, I think the biggest change within Singapore was the language change. So I think you might not really know this, but the older generation of Singaporeans, not all of them can speak English very well, be it like Chinese, Tamil, or maybe even Chinese dialects. We have changed so drastically. Our national language is now like English, which not all of them know or speak very well. Because of all these new technologies popping up, and furthermore, these technologies being in English, I think it might be too much of a change for them, which might explain the differences between Singapore and Thailand, maybe.
Yeah, that's a very good analysis. I can see the debate side coming back to you. You make up arguments very quick and on the spot. That's true because Singapore is a very small country. It's a very new country too. It's only 50 years old, right? Before Lee Kuan Yew came along, national language for Singapore was like 4 national languages. Where there's Tamil, there's Chinese Mandarin, and there's what's the other 2?
I think there'll be Malay and English.
Because of the quick switch in the span of 50 years, Lee Kuan Yew kind of made all government schools, forced everyone to do English, speak English, kind of led to a gap between the older generation and the younger generation, right? So communication is a little bit different.
Maybe I can give a bit more background about my family. My grandparents, their main language is in in fact not Chinese. It is a Chinese dialect called Teochew. So within the span of 50 years, they had to like change from Teochew to Mandarin, then to English. So they did not manage to learn the English portion of the language, but they did manage to learn Mandarin. So in fact, the way I communicate with my grandparents is in Mandarin. So you can probably tell my Mandarin is slightly limited. If you were to ask me to like explain how banking QR code works, or maybe a Singaporean banking QR code to an elderly person who might not be very well exposed to technology, that makes lives a lot harder, right? Because I think communication is very important when you're trying to teach someone a new skill.
This sidewalk reminds you of what area in Singapore?
Be like Orchard Road. It's more of like the downtown area. Like just looking at this, I feel like Thai downtown can compete with our Singaporean downtown in terms of like the quality of the roads here.
One of the changes you told me ever since moving out of Thailand 5 years ago are the decrease in electricity cables, right?
Yeah.
I would say Kun Chachachat, which is the new Ministry of Thailand, is responsible for this. He said that first order of business is to get rid of all the electricity cables at Sukhumvit Road, and you can really see the job.
I think 5 years ago, when we were all still in high school, you just have to like look overhead and you'll just be like a jumbled mess of cables everywhere. But now it's just clean, it's spotless. You don't see any cables at all. You don't have to worry about tripping over the ground, tripping over a loose towel, and you don't have to worry about maybe the loose cables overhead.
Yeah, I'll tell you that I've been outside of Sukhumvit area. For sure, there are still Spider-Man cables, looking cables. I was in university in the US last year, and I came back. Yeah, I definitely see a reduction in electricity cables. I agree with that observation for sure. I mean, look at the roads; it's way more walkable.
You look down this road right here, you can still see all the electricity cables. So I think the main change they made was mainly along the Sukhumvit Road. But it's still better than nothing. It's a step in the right direction. I think overall, from a safety perspective, having these cables removed from above the ground will definitely improve the safety overall of Bangkok.
What is the third change you've seen in Bangkok compared to when you were living 5 years ago?
I would say that there are more like ride-hailing apps available. So I think 5 years ago there was Grab. Yes, I think it was the only app, not mistaken. So the only options you had if you wanted to hail a ride was to either like flag down a taxi from the road or use a Grab. But now you have like all these other apps available, both InDrive, and of course Grab. I think another major difference when it comes to these ride-hailing services is that now you can book a motorcycle on these apps, which wasn't available 5 years ago. 5 years ago, you could only find one of those guys in the orange vest, right? If you wanted to like get a motorcycle taxi.
So because of the rise in more transportation services, do you feel like it's easier for people to travel around Bangkok? Because Bangkok traffic is very bad, but do you feel like because of this increase, it kind of encourage more tourism, encourage more people to come to Bangkok because traveling is way easier now?
I think it's very easy right now, like especially, for example, right now I stay in Sukhumvit Soi 40, which is maybe a bit less accessible. If you were to flag a taxi right there, it might be a bit hard if you were to flag a metered taxi. But now you can just like call Grab or whatever other app there is. So like it's almost certain you can find a driver. But I would feel the greatest difference when it comes to this is in fact outside of Bangkok. Like maybe in Phuket where there's no public transport system available. Like it's very easy to like go wherever you want now basically with these apps. Because these apps offer a very transparent price. You don't have to worry about a taxi driver ripping you off, getting scammed. So I think it adds to the convenience and the sense of security for tourists, which might be explaining why there are more Chinese tourists coming into Thailand these days. Because I think, if I was not mistaken, like a year ago, I was back here in Bangkok, and I noticed that there were very little Chinese in Bangkok, but now 1 year later they're all back, and I feel like it's because of ride-hailing options available.
Yeah, well said. I agree with you on that for sure. Let's move on, let's keep walking. We're at Suan Benjasiri Park. This is the park that I think Friday after school, me and Kun Dr. Ratchapong, we used to come to this park almost every Friday and exercise, right? Alright, Hank, so the last change in Bangkok 5 years ago is the increase foreign influencers, right?
Yeah, so I think maybe 5 years ago, there were definitely expats living here in Thailand, but you don't really see any videos of them on the internet.
Promoting Thailand, like with the food, with the cheap condos and everything, right?
Yeah, definitely. But these days, I just have to like scroll on my Instagram reels or TikTok or anywhere. Like you see videos of Thai condos, Thai food, and Thai expat life all over the internet, which I feel is one of the something I didn't really anticipate that much also, because I feel like maybe 5 years ago, the expat community was slightly more quiet. Maybe there was this so-called idea that Bangkok was a like haven you had to like gatekeep maybe. So maybe that's why there wasn't as many influencers. So maybe in fact we were the OGs.
When we were doing food reviews, which old videos with Mr. Temi are all pretty much privated. Maybe one day I'll release it again. But that being said, Temi, do you think food, cost of living, everything has increased throughout the 5 years? คิดว่าแพงขึ้นปะ?
Yeah, like for example, tam sang like that, right? Before it's just like what less than 50, but now it's like at least like
70.
sometimes 80. Like today I ate the kapao mu kop.
Yeah.
It was 80 baht, and like with like kai jiao on top, it's like 90.
So yeah, with the lamu was like 120, right?
I think it was 170, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was 170
for the lapmu and maybe 20 baht for the rice.
Yeah, so that is insane, man. And if you look at the Thailand minimum wage, and I think I talked about this in my other video, minimum wage in Thailand, I think it was 300, now it's like 350 or 400, I might be wrong. Costs have definitely increased for the local, and sadly it hasn't really been increasing as well. So that's an issue. Do you see that kind of issue prevalent in Singapore as well?
I think not as much because our prices are already quite high to begin with. So I think our currency is a bit more comparable to the developed world. I think what I want to mention is that the cost of all this price increase is because of globalization. So I think in international economics, there's a theory of global price equalization, right? And I think because there's such big discrepancies in terms of like prices between like developed nations and less developed nations like Thailand. So in a way, because of this kind of equalization, there's pressure on Thai prices to go up. And unfortunately, Thai wages haven't been going up with this increase in prices. So I think the locals have been suffering. They've been feeling the pinch.
Maybe. I haven't done a full economic analysis. And also, lastly, why do you think there's been an increase in Thailand influencers or foreigner influencers here in Thailand? And why do you think they talk about the cheap Thai condo prices? And is it actually really cheap?
I mean, in terms of cheap, if you compare it to like the Western world, it's definitely cheap. But even if you compare it to Singapore, like a $500 condo, all you can get is a shared room in a government housing complex in Singapore. So I mean, a condo versus a shared room in a government apartment, there's a world of difference, isn't it? So I feel like to foreigners coming in with currencies a lot more expensive than that of Thailand, you view everything as cheap in Thailand. But I mean, obviously that's not the case if you live and work here. And pertaining to the question on why is there a rise of influencers, I feel like it's because of the rise of digital nomads, especially after COVID. People realize they can work from anywhere. I feel like
pent-up demand, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one of the easiest ways you can work overseas is as a digital nomad. So I feel like people, they just come here and try to make their dream work. And yeah, a lot of them, maybe they dream of becoming an influencer. And affordable ways is to move to somewhere with cheaper, and you can make videos and enjoy maybe a higher quality of lifestyle than you can in your own country. So this is a very good way to supplement your income in a foreign country.
Okay, last question. I'm going to put you on the spot here because you're studying economics. Fourth year, you're doing economics and engineering, two very difficult majors. Why do you think rent prices here in Thailand is super cheap?
I would say it's purely because of the currency discrepancies. So I think because like the Thai baht is a lot weaker than the currencies of other countries, that's why it appears cheap to people living outside of Thailand. But I mean, definitely as a local, you would feel that these condos are very expensive, because to us, maybe as a foreigner, it's just a 500 baht condo, but to a local that could be an entire month's wage. So there's no way a local could maybe afford to live here if you're an ordinary salaryman. I wouldn't say it's cheap, but it is, I would phrase it as it's relatively cheaper if you come from a developed nation.
That being said, I don't think Thailand has like a housing crisis like in the US. You know, like in San Francisco, there's a lot of homelessness and everything. And reason being is because Thai people build a lot of these huts, slum areas at Kong Thai, like DIY house kind of thing. So I think that could be one of the reasons as well. I don't know. It's a so difficult topic that we need to sit down and actually, you know, talk about. But yeah, that's about it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Heng, thank you for being in today's video. It was very messy. The questions weren't really like lining up properly, but I hope to do it again sometimes. I really appreciate your time here, and I hope you have a great time back in Singapore.
I always love to be back in Bangkok.
Yeah, always. We'd love to have you back. That's about it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. I know this video is very anecdotal and we just ramble a lot, but it's just, we're trying to align moving parts together. It's kind of difficult for me to do that currently, especially when my friends are here. We're just trying to hang out. But there will be a whole video about economics and, you know, the rent prices, the cost of living, you know, who is it affecting? Are locals really struggling? All that video is coming very soon. I have a whole script prepared. I've arranged interviews with economists. I've arranged interviews with locals as well. So definitely stay tuned for that. It's a big project. It's something that I've been working on for a long time. We're gonna delve into a lot about Thailand, the corruption behind Thailand. I'm here to talk about the great things about Bangkok, the great things about Thailand, but also at the same time, as a Thai person myself, I'm going to criticize Thailand and Bangkok as a whole as well. So stay tuned for that video. Till then, สวัสดีครับ เรามาสลายกันคราวหน้า
เราเจอกันครั้งหน้านะครับครั้งหน้าเรามาสลายกันอีกครับ